All right, my name is Tim. Wow, y'all, what an incredible, amazing episode. This tribal council will definitely talk about it. But this is Split the Vote, the ultimate superfan survivor podcast. I am joined with the guy who does not go by Bobby. That is not his nickname, but his name is Rob. Rob, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good today, Tim. I'm chilling. I don't know, man. I finally got a chance to rest after a string of days at work, and there's nothing I'd rather do than just kick back, watch Survivor, and just be able to talk about all things Survivor with you. So, what's new in the life of Tim? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm super excited to have a break upcoming this week. It's spring break. I'm a PhD student. We know that. And I'm getting over a cold. Like earlier this week, I was lying in my bed, sick as a dog, sneezing. I'm still sneezing to this day. I think I'll still be sneezing after this podcast, but I'm happy to at least not be sniffling at the same time, too. But I'm great.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. Well, Rob, this episode, man, I think we really just have to hop right into the meat of it because it's crazy. Like this tribal council was one of my favorites. I love the drama of it all. I love the dynamics that were at play. And ultimately, I do think some things went wrong and I think some things went really right. Let's talk about those things. So let's go straight into this split vote. Ironically, wink, wink, the title of the podcast. But there's been a lot of confusion I saw on Twitter, right? I was scrolling after the episode. People were not understanding how the vote went, how it went. Shout out to this one person. Her name is Gia. Shout out to Gia who took the time to really explain the split vote. And I think there's still some confusion that's out there around the whole split vote in general. Do you feel like you're still confused, Rob? Do you feel like you understood exactly what happened?
I mean, I want to say if our podcast name is Split the Vote, I'd hope I had a really good understanding of an actual split the vote in the game of Survivor. So I think I have a good understanding, but maybe you want to explain it for the people that don't necessarily have the best understanding.
Absolutely. It's like a fight, Rob. Let me walk you through it. Let me walk everybody through it. If you're listening, just the audio version, go ahead and hop over to the YouTube to see this visual. So let's look at it like a fight, Rob. All right. Tribal council is happening. Say is getting ready to fight Justin. Justin is a pacifist. His hands are already in his pocket in the cast picture, ironically enough, did not actually plan to point that out. And then we have Cedric right there on the sidelines getting ready to pull the fight apart, right? Next thing you know, you're like, where's Mary in all of this? Mary is in the comfort of her home with her door locked. Her name is Bennett. She is not in it. Therefore, she has no chance to get hit, but she also has no say in who won the fight, who lost the fight. Now, the fight's happening. Say is beating Justin up. Like Say is on top of Justin. Mink, 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 hitting him. Cedric is trying to pull Say off of Justin. That's the tussle that's happening. Cedric is not in the fight, aka he is not one of the people who got votes, but he's trying to sway the fight and influence the fight that's happening. Eventually, the fight has to end. Justin is beat up. Say is tired. Cedric is still there trying to break up the fight. Next thing you know, Jeff pulls up. Jeff's like, who won the fight, y'all? Say is tired. Justin is unconscious at this point. Say doesn't have a say in who won the fight. You're in the fight. You can't say who won the fight. So he asks Cedric. He's like, Cedric, who won the fight? Who lost the fight? Cedric ultimately is like, even though I was trying to pull Say off of Justin, Justin lost the fight. So Justin, you got to go home. And then Say is still here until the end of the day. That's how it makes sense for me. Again, Say can't say she won the fight and have the final say because she was in the fight. Justin is the only person who, not Justin, sorry, Cedric is the only person who was at the fight, but not in the fight. Mary in her house, drinking her lemonade, watching this like it's primetime television from her couch. And that's why the vote went how it went, if there's any confusion.
I think that was a great summary. I think everyone should tune into the actual live feed of that and just see like just how that fight went down. But man, it's crazy. I mean, like going, I guess with the fight reference, like it's like Apollo Creed versus Rocky, like going blow for blow during that tribal council. But I guess I want to start with Mary and the fact that she played that shot in the dark.
Yes.
The roof blew off my house when that read safe. I couldn't believe that after her strategy of just ignoring everything the whole day and going for a swim, that she gets the tribal council, she gets the shot in the dark. That was beautiful to watch.
Absolutely. I thought it was a sensational play by Mary, funny enough. But I do think Mary's strategy started even before her shot in the dark play, as we saw. I think it's best to really dial back for a moment just to go into everything that happened over at Vula. So, again, they lost. I don't think it's anything too particular about this challenge that surprised me besides Say should have been the caller, in my opinion. We saw Say yell at Kevin and Cedric in the last challenge from across the ocean. So I think she would have been a phenomenal guider. But Mary had a little mind game up her sleeve. She, in my opinion, really played it to the best of her ability. If she were to come out in the game of Survivor on a tricycle and say, let's play a little game, that would be the equivalent of the level of strategy and just mental cycle and challenge that she was putting in the minds of the other players around her. I thought it was clever. I loved it. I thought it was smart. What did you think about her mind games, Rob?
Oh, you know me. I love my psychological warfare, and seeing Say just spin in circles. Just but if she has the idol, then she'd be doing exactly this. But I don't think she has the idol, and just watching her just like those thoughts just like spin and spin, like it just fell perfectly into Mary's lap, and I that's like the reaction you want to see if you're Mary from these other players, because they're just going to go in a hyperdrive and you genuinely can just like sit back and watch them blow up their own games. And I I don't know. I mean, I guess when we go to tribal council and we see that like the majority of the votes for cast first, like they were for Mary, so it's hard to say like if her strategy really paid off and ended up working, but because it was the shot in the dark that allowed her to be safe. But the psychological warfare going on that beach, you love to see it.
We do love to see it. And speaking of warfare, with every war, it's always two sides at the very least. So I think it is very fitting that we split the vote in this war.
Split the vote.
Okay, so it's no secret that I'm Team Say, and I'm also Team Mary at the same time too. In our discussion of their dynamics and the mind games that were at play, this third person that's a part of this puzzle is Cedric. Speaking on the Vula tribe, right? We see Cedric take a nap. Say it's like, absolutely not. I can't get no sleep because of Mary. You're also not going to get sleep because of Mary. Cedric has had enough. Ultimately, I feel like that's the reason why Cedric voted for Say. He's like, you interrupted my sleep. I can't nap as a person, Rob. If the one time I can take a nap, somebody wakes me up from that nap, I would want to vote them out too in that moment. But again, it's this like split and divide between Say and Mary. But in that split and divide, I just really love the mutual respect they have for one another. Like, no hatred, just like love and respect. But like, you're my competitor, so you have to go. But I like you as a player to be out of the game.
I think it's really cool how in consecutive seasons we've really seen that phenomenon. How in season 47 you have Rachel and Genevieve like expressing how you are truly my enemy in this game, but I love you for this competitor, for being this foe that I genuinely have to play around. And I I think I totally get that sense of just like sportsmanship in a competitive game, because it shouldn't be this deep. It shouldn't be personal, right? Because it is a game.
Mhm.
And of course they're playing for $1 million and everyone has their own reason for why they're out there, but it's a game. And it is really cool to like not get too heated and being too in the moment, like as you saw like in like old school Survivor where people were genuinely at their throats. Like, I remember like season 5,
Yes.
like Rob choking that one dude, like Clark or something like that. But like you're never gonna see that again. This is the kind of Survivor that, I don't know, it speaks to me and it speaks to the actual like community of players.
I agree, and I definitely wouldn't want to see survivors duke it out. If I were to want to see that, I would probably tune in for after the season when Say gets her lick back at the people who voted for her or talked ill about her game. Cough cough Jack Atkins. But in speaking of like the mutual respect that people have for one another, I really want to talk about briefly the Siva tribe. I know there's not much happening in this tribe just because they haven't lost yet. There's not a lot of beef in this tribe like we see on the other tribes, but Mitch is making moves still, despite this calm. He knows a storm is coming, and he's ready to make sure the people he wants to see make it out of that storm makes it out of that storm. One of those people being Charity. The next thing he does is try to get Kyle on his side. Mitch also has an advantage too in this game. Kyle has an advantage. I don't think Mitch knows about Kyle's idol at this point, but if we're talking about the Siva tribe, the one thing I can say about this episode is Mitch's attempt to make moves, which stands out to me.
That definitely stood out to me too, because I mean, this tribe is far from going to tribal council, so we don't really know what their dynamics are like in terms of where people are going to be voting. You obviously know like the core 4 Siva of Camilla, Kyle, David, and Chrissy, but where's the strategy from Charity and from Mitch? And now you're really seeing those dynamics in play, where you have David and Kyle like able to navigate and maneuver around the middle. And I think it's really interesting how they're almost 7-ish days into the episode, into the game at this point, and the pace of strategic play is just so different on this one tribe, where like day
Mhm.
1, day 2 you have this quick 4-person alliance, and then the game starts moving where other people are still trying to like reach out and create those relationships, and we are still so far from seeing what's going to happen, and probably even further from it now.
Yeah, I did see the preview. Spoiler alert if you missed the end credits for this most recent episode, but a swap is coming. So we know something's going to change. Some dynamic is not going to be the same. So these players making these bonds and solidifying them before they quote go to war with these other tribes, I think is a great initial move instead of waiting to make a reactionary move in this moment. Anything else from the Siva tribe that you think is noteworthy before we move on to Lagi?
I feel maybe the only thing worth mentioning is maybe David's airtime in a way, where they're really
Mhm.
trying to give him that like hero arc story. He's just a player that I'm keeping tabs on in my mind, and I'd like to just see like what situation he ends up on. But like, I'm rooting for the guy with 4 nipples. I don't know about you, Tim.
I I'm rooting for Miss No Humble Trait, whose humble trait we didn't see. I feel like David, and this is my Tim prediction, is gonna be the Goliath that's gonna be taken out later in the game. He is getting a whole bunch of screen time, and I think he's being built up to be this person who we can't beat at Final Tribal Council. Similar to players like Genevieve in last season that we saw. And I think David is going to be that person in this season, maybe not from a strategic standpoint that we can tell from now, but certainly from a character / emotional connection to the jury standpoint potentially.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good take. I mean, he doesn't look like a David. He on the outside he looks like a Goliath. But honestly, when you hear his
Sure.
story about how he's living like in a trailer home parked outside of his dad's house, I mean, that does say a little bit that he's got like a lot of David inside him too. You know?
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up. Speaking of Davids, I definitely think Star is the David of her tribe. Even though they've been Goliathing these challenges so far, Star is definitely in trouble. One of the Goliaths that is on Star's neck is Eve. Eva, not Eve. Sorry, I've been watching too much Invincible recently. But Eva is on Star's neck, not letting Star catch a break. Basically, Eva runs up to Star. She's like, okay, Star, you got something? Star's like, no. I don't blame Star for saying no because, Rob, if you've been isolating me this whole time, it's been 7 days, a whole week, I don't know how many hours is in a week. Somebody good at math can tell me that in the comments or something, but it's been 7 days and you haven't talked strategy with me. You already told me to sit out the challenge in a sport that I play. And now you want to know if I've been looking for an idol or advantage? Absolutely not. I'm going to lie. So it didn't make sense for me that Eva decided to approach Star in that way to see if Star would trust her because that foundation of trust wasn't set before.
I can't disagree. You really can't. And it's hard not to go back to like, you know, like her having her autism and everything and like maybe not understanding like those social cues that kind of impact that maybe decision in her mind to go and do that. But she's doing what she can, which is trying to find out like as much information as she can, where it's like, well, am I going to be able to like trust and confide in Star? But like you said, it's been 168 hours. I think that's the math. You tell me if I'm wrong. In a given
Books,
week
Rob.
in 7 days. Fair.
I read books, not work with numbers. The only numbers I work with are the page numbers when I'm turning to the next page.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like she should just know that, like, I don't know, just talk to Joe about it, see what Joe thinks before you go make a move like that. But also just like on the topic of Joe, like one other thing that I don't know if I really agreed with her doing so much was handing Joe that bracelet for his daughter. I thought that was it's a huge sign of loyalty and trust that you have in this one person, and to kind of bestow upon him within your whole tribe there during that bonfire, it might just speak to her game where we're just going to be questioning these social moves that she's making, but it's also a piece of her. And it's not necessarily the game that is going to be her strong suit too at times.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a double-edged sword where something like this is her character. Like it shows the appreciation and affection she has for her tribe mates, specifically Joe in this instance. And if you're Eva's tribe mates at this point, then you can think, well, they're super close. Or you can look at it and Eva could paint this to be a strength of, when I'm on your side, you know I'm on your side because I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to lie about it. It's going to be clear in a way that you understand it that I am with you. But at the same time, if you're somebody on the outs looking into this situation, it definitely puts a target on Eva and Joe's back because of clear moments of loyalty like this.
You know, one thing that's just coming to mind right now is like, will it, like, yes, it can have repercussions for Eva, but I think if I'm another player and I see like, you can visibly, Eva is a deer in headlights. Her game is very visible. So maybe take an opportunity to try to take out another player that is a little bit more threatening because you don't necessarily know what they're thinking and stuff like that. So, but God, I hate the idea and about using Eva because like for the autism that she has and stuff like that, you know? And I think for Joe, honestly, I like applaud him for just wanting to make sure that that's a person that like you have on your side that you're protecting too, you know? So, I don't even know. It's so difficult with Survivor being such a social game, and you're just dealing with these like, I don't want to call them deficits, but it makes it
Differences.
difficult. What'd you say?
Differences.
Yeah, differences for sure. It just makes it very difficult to play this game, but it is really interesting to see how it plays out on the island in this game. I mean, I see it play out every single day in the psychiatric hospital. So
Hmm.
having the world kind of really have a view of what it's like for a person like that is just battling through this challenge like every single day of their life, like it's just it's difficult for me to watch on Survivor 2, just like knowing what those difficulties are for these people, because I have them like people in my family experience this. I've seen people every single day for the last year and a half in the hospital. It just strikes a chord with me, you know.
Yeah, and just to share something I always try to teach in my job as like a professor, there's this one video that I bring up when it comes to remembering that everything we do is a product of our culture, and every action that we take contributes to the society that we create. Is this one video that essentially says assume that we can, and speaking about people who are neurodivergent, and saying if you don't think that somebody can read Shakespeare, then they'll never read Shakespeare. But if you assume somebody can read Shakespeare, then they can read Shakespeare. Let them tell you that. So, in thinking about and talking about the season and Eva specifically, I know we're both, me and you, but for others as well, like assume Eva can do this. Eva can blindside somebody. Eva can. Because if we don't, we'll never expect it to come into the picture. But this also means that we can expect or believe Eva can make a better strategic move instead of going straight to star in this moment. Is how I like view it, unless again told otherwise at this point.
She has so many avenues where she genuinely can use it to her advantage, and I'm so excited for those moments to come.
Mhm.
It I guess I don't know if I'm just like worried as a viewer, you know?
Yeah.
And because I just don't want to see her fail. I just want to see her succeed with a huge smile on her face and everything. And I think that like I'm just bracing for defeat when I don't know why. I guess I feel like that with every other people. You know, maybe it's just like projecting, like you said, where it's like the societal like norms like onto someone too. But I think maybe for me, in the case of Survivor, where like you know like it's the culture that we all play in, and in this game you want to deceive
Mhm.
people, you want to like use people for the vote and stuff like that. And I think maybe because that's how I view the game of Survivor, like you have Eva, who is this character where it's like, but is this someone like you want to use because of their like their disabilities and their disorder and stuff like that? And that's why Survivor is the fucking best game, because that's how we're gonna see how that question is answered just later in the season, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of defeat, going into this challenge, it seems like a case of deja vu because yet again they lost, which sucks for them. But Lagi was the tribe that won it all, won the reward of the tarp and other luxuries, but they also win this other thing, this handy dandy, teeny tiny mouse of a journey that they get to decide who goes on it from each tribe. Of the Lagi tribe, Bianca is chosen. Not sure if Bianca volunteered herself. We don't really get to see the inter-tribe communication of that decision, but Bianca is chosen from Lagi. Next is Justin from Vula, and then from Siva is Camilla. Once they go on this journey, Rob, they don't have any choice. The two people that were picked not from Lagi didn't have a choice to go on the journey. Now they don't have a choice to play in this game of chance for an advantage or to lose their vote, which sucks for Justin because he's on a trial before. If we look at this statistically, I know I said earlier I'm not a math person, but if I have a calculator, I feel like I'll be fine. There's a 1 in 3 chance. That's basic math, right, Rob? There's a 1 in 3 chance of Justin getting picked for this because Mary can't be picked. Mary already went on a journey. Can't be someone else who have already been on a journey before, which I don't think is a fair rule. Like, I know they're trying to spread out the journey wealth, but like, let me go on a journey again if they pick me to go on a journey. Maybe not if the tribe that won wants to go on a journey twice. Maybe have that caveat for them. But if I'm Mary, I'm like, pick me again. Let me go again. But from this journey, again, they don't have a vote. They don't have a say in if they go on this journey or not. Do you think they should have had the chance to decide if they would want to go on the journey slash if they wanted to play this game of chance once they were even on the journey?
I feel like we're at a place where sometimes for these journeys, players just have no control, where Survivor takes all that control from you and you're forced to just play the game at chance. And I think it's really interesting how there's so many like viewers that argue how like Survivor isn't about luck. There's no chance involved. It's all about the game that you play, how well you play it, and that's just not the case. So I actually kind of like how they have to play the game of chance where they potentially lose their vote, because if I'm a player and I have the chance to save my vote, I am keeping my vote and I am like aborting this game. So I think it's good that players have to. Now, going to your point where it's like, well, should they just like I think Mary should be a player that should be like, given the chance to go on the journey too. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, I guess there's so much chance in Survivor, and I don't know if I like how much chance there is. I think we have a good amount of chance as is.
I definitely think if I'm reading the sign, it's like pick a path, go forward, good luck. I'm like, the path I'm picking is on the boat back to my tribe because I'm not risking losing my vote. That's if I had that chance and opportunity to do that. And the challenge itself at the journey, it's not a puzzle. Like you said, there's no chance for control. It's literally just luck. Have you played Yahtzee, Rob? Because I haven't. Have you played Yahtzee before?
I've played Yahtzee. I just haven't played in years.
Okay. I've never played Yahtzee. I don't know nothing about Yahtzee. Have you played Spades, Rob?
The patients at my hospital really want me to play Spades, and I haven't played Spades with them yet. So no, I actually haven't played Spades.
Okay, I'm gonna text Bryce. I'm gonna text Wendell. Let them know we need a Spades table at the next Bryce and Win present so that I can sit you down. I can teach you. You got to be my Spades partner. But if you renege, Rob, which is like going back in the game of Spades, I'll teach it to you. If you do that, we have to end the podcast. We can't be friends anymore because it's like the ultimate like worst thing you could do in Spades. But the worst thing that could happen in this game of Survivor on this journey is rolling the skull dice, which happened to happen for both Bianca and Justin. Camilla's the only person that won. She got herself an extra vote, but Justin loses his vote on a trial before, and Bianca loses her vote. And then they go back, and we see the two choices that they made about how to go about the information that they just got about losing their vote. Anything from the game of chance and Yahtzee that you feel like should have been a puzzle at each journey, or do you feel like sometimes Survivor is just about chance and in the new era is just about the journey as a threat or the journey as like this great Hail Mary for your game?
I think it's good for Survivor to switch it up just so players can't prepare for those journey moments. And yeah, like we talk about how it is all about chance, at least this game, but how you leave the journey and what you decide to do with what you kind of get from the journey, I think that's what really matters to me. And that is really the pivotal point like for the game, right? Because we see like all three players come back with three very different strategies, where Bianca comes back and lies to everyone saying that I don't even remember what her lie was. I just remember there was like some dumbass lie, to be honest.
Yeah, it was like it was something. It was something, all right. But apparently she sold it. Apparently they believed it. At least Thomas.
Yeah, good for her, I guess. But we could touch on, maybe I'll touch on that thought after. But then you have like Justin who says like, okay, well, I did the game a chance and we'll find out like what happens later. Like that's a little bit better. But honestly, like I'm team Camilla. I
The
don't
question
know.
marks?
What do you think?
The white question marks, the red question marks. If you land it, you could get something or nothing or a little bit of something, but we don't know until tomorrow. You tell me, Rob.
I don't know. I think the one part of his lie that I liked was how he was biding himself time where it's like, okay, well, we can't make the decision to vote him out based off of this journey because we just don't really know what he has or what he doesn't. So maybe they're voting off of like the threat of what he could get from it, but then it was about tribe materials or something like that. So that kind of went over my head because I'm just like, oh my god, dumbass, just tell the truth. Like Camilla, like thank
Yeah.
you. Like in this game of Survivor, we are very much transitioning to a point where players are just being more honest with what they have, and I think that allows you to be a little freer with your game also because. Yeah, like you got to look at the long term and the short term benefits. Yes, lie to your tribe members now to get through the next vote. But if you ever come to like the merge and you're further along in the game and players are going to start talking about what happens on a journey and stuff like that, and for some reason your weird story doesn't align with anyone else's, everyone's going to paint you as, okay, well, they're a liar. That's someone I genuinely can't trust in this game. So why lie? Just tell the truth. Players are going to compare notes. It doesn't make sense for me when players lie that are then going to have to defend that lie for the rest of the game because you're going to get caught red-handed at some point.
Yeah. Honestly, they need to bring back the knowledge is power. Hot take. I know we'll get into more hot takes later. So I will put a pin in that for now. And know, listeners, that there's more hot takes to come. But I will pause there because that is a very hot take that should be saved for later. But
Fair.
if I'm thinking about Justin, I'm in Justin's position. I lost my vote. I come back to my tribe and I lie. I'm going to make it even worse. I'm going to be like, oh, and if you vote me out, we don't, we won the supplies, but if you vote me out, we won't get the supplies. So like, don't vote me out, y'all. Like, I wouldn't actually do that because that's a very terrible lie, but commit to the bit. Isn't that what Mary said? Commit to it. Commit to the bit. He committed to the bit of not revealing he lost his vote though. So I can't hate.
That's fair. I think what I would do is I'd commit to the bit saying, I don't know if I have my vote or if I don't, but I'll find out at tribal council in the voting podium. I think maybe that's the best where it's like, okay, well, we still have to plan for you having a vote, but then you also not having a vote. So then when those options come up, you're still able to have those conversations with players rather than just kind of ignoring you. Well, it's like, okay, well, Justin doesn't have a vote now. Like, so let's just talk about it and figure it out on our own, if that makes sense. He's still in the plan potentially, even though he doesn't have that vote, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and it's actually smart because that way, if he goes up to Cedric, he isn't lying to Cedric in a sense of saying, "Oh, maybe I have my vote, maybe I don't have my vote." It gives him leeway to play in these two routes and to essentially say, "Okay, I might have my vote, but if I don't, maybe you should help me out here, but also don't vote for me because I might have my vote." It puts him in this weird position of having a little defense while not actually having to reveal all of his cards for sure. Well, speaking of cards to be revealed, I think for me, I'm ready to reveal which player won my Torchy Award and who my nominees are for this episode. Are you?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right. It's time for the Torchy Awards. All right, ladies, gentlemen, Posse, all alike, folks, we are back for the third annual Torchy Awards for this season of Survivor 48, y'all. My Torchy nominees for this episode, Rob, are Mary and Say. Mary, love the mental games, shot in the dark play, so much more behind her belt, made herself safe. Say had a less of a cleaner round this time, but trusted her intuition, was playing hard behind her target's back, and convinced somebody who voted for her twice to keep her in the game. So Rob, the winner of my Torchy Award this episode is Say. Surprise, surprise.
Oh, I mean, Say, I'm really happy for you. And Tim, I'll let you finish your little spew about Say, but Mary had one of the best moments in all of Survivor history. One of the best Survivor moments of all time. And I think you have to, for me, you have to applaud someone that is able to play the shot in the dark and have it totally change the course of how that tribe's tribal council finished. And so for me, Mary is the only person that I was really considering for my Torchy award.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I'll let you have your moment. I'm gonna grab my mic back in this moment because I do give Mary credit, but back on Say played this round with like an insatiable hunger because I played my idol last round. Mary, who is my op at this point, I'm not gonna let her find the idol. I will follow you. Say babysitted her that entire round. Smart. Then Cedric, my homeboy at this point, voted for me not once, but twice. And then I lost my chance to save myself. So now I have to convince somebody to vote out their number one at this point of the game. And I convinced them to vote out their number one at this point, while also like bridging the gap with my op at this point. It's like my nemesis is becoming my evil twin in this game, while also learning that we have somebody else that we need to get rid of, and that person would be Cedric at this point. So for me, saving herself, get it? Saving herself in this really rough position while still being aggressive, while still playing off of her own personality of honesty and straightforwardness, is a credit to her being aware of how she moves through this game and how she needs to move through the game to get to the end and win.
See, I don't want to take I don't want to take any credit away from what Say did, but instead I kind of want to highlight Cedric's perspective, how I just don't think he made a good move at all at Tribal Council. He is just a fish laying out of water, flipping on the deck, going back and forth between, oh, should I vote for Justin? Should I vote for Say? And I don't know, like, yeah, like the information of like, oh yeah, like Justin just lied to you about just like not having a vote this entire Tribal Council and he hasn't voted, and wow, yeah, you believe that. So here's Say, who's been honest with you the entire time, but I don't know, like you just voted for Say, no, like genuinely no one's gonna trust you at this point now. So I don't know, like I don't know if there was I can't say was there a better decision to make. I just think that his reluctancy to be consistent in that moment is just a huge flaw for him moving forward. Because I think every player in the game now, you look at Cedric and it's like, yeah, like he's supposed to be that like one really loyal player, like to Say. At least like maybe that's just what my perspective was the first couple of episodes, but there's just a lack of consistency, and that makes it trouble for me to view him as an ally for whoever going forward.
Yeah, Cedric voted for every member of his tribe at some point in the game. He's collecting the Affinity Stones, but I feel like that's something you don't want to do in this way in the game of Survivor. If you want
actually,
to make it
what's crazy is that what? Wait, what was the last part?
If you want to make it super far, don't do that. But what's crazy? Tell me.
No, he voted for every single tribe mate at that Tribal Council. He first voted for Mary, who played the shot into the dark, so that vote's canceled out. Then he votes for Say, and then he votes for Justin. Like, you have no friends. What are you doing? It genuinely doesn't make any sense to me. Who is going to want to work with Cedric from his tribe? Nobody.
It works for my draft, so I'm not hating.
Oh my god, don't even mention the draft. I must have a horrible read on players. And it's like you can dissect it as the game's progressing, and it's like Did I really just back the first 3 players voted out of this game? What am I what am I doing? My first reads off first impression are horrible, horrendous, Tim.
It's just bad luck, just like this legend who's joining the legendary Third Boot Club, Justin himself. Streets was saying that Justin was the unluckiest player of the new era, statistically, of like chance wise, because again, one, he got picked to go on this journey. He played a game of dice that was super unlucky. He goes to tribal council where Mary lands her 1 in 6 shot of safety to then go to a tie vote where he has no vote, to then have the longest tribal council ever that Jeff has to interrupt, mind you, just for his bestie to send him home to manage his, which I'm sure is incredible, pizzeria at this point. So yeah, I do think stats wise, he just got super unlucky. I know that there was so much more that we didn't see in his fight back against Say's argument because the tribal council was so long. But man, that's rough.
It's tough for the pizza guy. You know have you seen Home Alone? I feel like I just have to ask you if you see these movies. Okay.
I was born in 2000, Rob, not in like 2020.
Okay. Well, you hadn't seen Elf, so I wasn't sure if you've seen any Christmas movie at all, man. What?
You consider Home Alone a Christmas movie?
You don't?
I mean, sure.
It's a holiday movie.
It takes place during the holidays, but is it really like? It's not in the same category as like Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer. It's completely different. I could watch Home Alone in the summer and I will be fine. I can't watch Elf in the summer. That is not the same, Rob. Let's not. See, I feel like in this moment I'm making the argument and you're Justin because I'm right. We'll let the comments determine who win in this fight because Home Alone, while it could be a summer movie that you watch, which I will say you can't watch it in the summer, it's not a quote unquote Christmas movie. And I see you typing, so put them Twitter fingers away.
I'm Googling Christmas movies, and the top 100 Christmas movies from IMDb of all time, Home Alone is number 2. That is a Christmas movie, Tim. Don't tell me any. Okay, well, actually, you said you're not good with numbers, so number 2 in this scenario is really good. Okay.
Wow. So I hope you tell that to yourself when you get second place in our 1 of 2 draft. Listen, call me God. Thomas, because the gays, we know how to clap back.
Dude, that is one of the best Survivor moments that never made the show. Like day 1 when he's like, oh yeah, Survivor and the gays. Like how could they take that out? Like it's so funny. Oh,
it was. Well, it's time to get into some not so funny topics because Rob, it's time for a challenge. You ready for it?
Oh, I'm ready for it.
All right. It's time to steal the bacon. All right. So for this Steal the Bacon challenge, we're not necessarily doing an active activity. We have some Survivor hot takes to tell y'all. We both have one Survivor hot take written down in front of us, and we're going to talk about them and defend them like they're on trial. I mentioned a little of a hot take a bit earlier, but I have a different hot take that I'm ready to go to war for. But since I'm bad at numbers, I don't know if I should go first. So I'm going to let Rob take spot number 1 in revealing his hot take.
All right. You know, I actually made more than one, so maybe I'm the one that's bad with numbers. I don't know. I ended up making 3. I was having too much fun with it, you know.
Go for it.
The one, my hot take is the merge. Hopefully this isn't backwards now that I'm thinking about it.
No, it's not backwards.
It says, the Mergatory is a great addition to Survivor. I personally love the Mergatory. How do you feel about it, Tim?
I personally do not like the mergatory. What do you mean I made the merge but not the jury? But I didn't actually make the merge. This is just like a one world twist at Final 13. Let me keep my vote. Let's keep the hourglasses out of the picture. Let's just call it a merge tribe. And please send me to the final tribal council seat, because whoever gets voted out this round would be the first member of the jury. So that's how I like my game of Survivor. Sunny side up with the jury and sunny side up with the merge actually being the merge. I don't know if you like yours different, but it seems like so.
Well, I guess this is my perspective, where the mergatory gives players a chance to kind of feel each other out before you get to the jury. Because I genuinely do think earning your jury spot is very important, because those first players voted out at the merge, they don't know the game that has been played when everyone's been on that beach together at all. Even when you get to Final 3, like, you're just hearing about the game, because if you're the first person booted out at the merge, you were just on the wrong side of the vote, and you haven't been in any vote. You don't know what it was like, conversations coming back to the beach or anything like that. I genuinely think it weeds out the players who just have a missed perception or just were not good enough to get to that next stage in the game. And it serves as like that temporary phase where everyone's getting to know each other, everyone's getting to play, and those who were successful enough to not be voted out make it to the merge, and everyone has a familiar sense of who each person is, how everyone's going to play the game. And I think that just creates a stronger jury where people know the game and have really made connections with each other too. So I think I like the mergatory because it just serves as that like buffer, so where everyone knows each other heading towards the end of the game, and it's just a stronger jury with the jury making a right decision at the end.
It's actually a strong case, not gonna lie. That actually made sense, surprisingly for Rob. I'm a little shocked here. Kidding. Well, here's my hot take that I'm ready to defend. I hope y'all can see it. Winners at War sucks. Let me tell you why. Winners at War's boot order, horrendous. The winner, I do love the winner. Shout out Tony. But that boot order, yikes. Fire tokens, mid. The season, okay. Old Spice. Like that's what the season is given to me. And that's why it's my first hot take, that Winners at War sucks.
Man, see, I hate that, because I loved Winners at War, to be honest. I thought it was really cool to see the difference in play style in the game, that those from like new school versus like what old school played. And I really like the prevailing new school energy. Yeah, like you have all of like your favorite players, like maybe not my favorite player, then like Boston Rob, and then but then like the Parvati's of the world, like yeah, Tyson like getting voted out on the earlier side, but it's just the added game that like you just see the evolution of Survivor within Winners at War, where the game was constantly evolving. Players know these older, like the newer players know the older player strategies, and I don't know if I was a fan of the fire tokens. I think they were fine. They should have been changed. Super odd to just throw that in at an all-star, like truly all-star season. Like, we're not going to get another Winners at War kind of season anytime soon. So why throw in such an odd twist, But I personally really liked it, because you get to see all the winners duel out,
Yeah, that's fair. Really quickly, the second hot take and final hot take that I have is that, as I mentioned earlier, this advantage should return, and that advantage is the advantage that Liana played in Survivor 41. Knowledge is power. Because since everybody want to share their advantages and accomplishments and idols, since we like to share so bad, hand it over to me. Give me your idol. Like, reach in your pocket, give it to me. You can't tell me no that you don't have it, because I know that you have it. You told the tribe. And Jeff is right here. Jeff knows you have an idol. So go ahead and hand it over to me, because I have the knowledge is power. I feel like it had so much potential to go so far, but it just didn't get to have a great start when it was introduced. But I think it has so much potential to be so entertaining, to have players questioning should they tell their alliance that they have an advantage? Should they hide it and risk not being aware of information that'll let them play it? Who knows? I think it adds so much to the game.
That's one thing we can agree on, that we both love the knowledge is power advantage. The other two hot takes I had is 26 days, Final 4 fire making challenge, and a Final 3 is the best format of Survivor. I stand by that. And
Okay, I agree with 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3, which one do you not agree with?
I feel like 39 is better than 26. Don't jump me. Well, you can't jump me. It's only one person. See, numbers, right?
I guess we'll just have to debate that another day then, right?
True. We will.
The other one that I had is Survivor's queen is Sandra. Sandra is the queen of Survivor, not Parvati, not anybody else. It's Sandra.
I don't think that was a hot take. I feel like that is a very lukewarm take because I agree with you. Sandra is queen. She won twice for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of reasons, I hope you have a reason ready for this upcoming Mail a Vote segment, because our viewers have questions for us, Rob. But before we get into the Mail a Vote segment, is our hot takes too hot? Like, do y'all have hotter takes than us? Let us know. But for now, we'll get into y'all's questions with the Mail a Vote segment. All right, Rob. So this question comes to us straight from one of our viewers. This viewer, Caitlin, says, "Hey Tim, future question for Split the Vote. Who is your preseason winner pick? And now, after a few episodes, how do you think they're doing? Are you feeling good about your winner pick?" Rob, who was your preseason winner pick? I think I remember a certain button being placed on your shirt at the BWP premiere back in New York. Was that your winner pick, or was it just a pick for that moment?
The name on that button was Stephanie, but that was just a pick for that moment, because I don't know if you recall, but every season of Survivor, you, me, and 7 of other of our friends, we get together and we have like a little draft.
Friends?
For what?
Friends?
Friends? Well, yeah, of course they're friends. It's from Survivor Maryland. Okay, yeah,
Kidding.
maybe not your friends, but all 7 of them are my friends.
They're
Tim,
my
okay?
friends too.
But shout out Ethan Miller. I love that guy. He was the host of Survivor Maryland before me. He gave me the keys to that city. But yeah, so I was fortunate enough to have the number 1 pick. So I had the full cast available, and I went through everyone's bio, and I went with my winner pick, which was Shaheen. And I am super excited about how he is playing. And you know what? Okay, like, horrible of me, but in that moment, like when we were at the Bryson One Presents event and they asked like, okay, well, who's your winner? Like, whose bun do you want? I completely forgot how to pronounce his name. And I felt terrible because that's just like neglect. And that's why I went with Stephanie, because I thought she was cool. But yeah, I drafted her as well and she didn't pan out. But Shaheen was my winner pick. And I'm pretty confident in the game that he is playing. I think he's been able to suss out Thomas, which is probably like maybe the biggest thing he has up his sleeve to play with right now, because that dude is a player. So I'm confident in him. Who is your winner pick, Tim?
Yeah, really quickly, just to comment on Shaheen. You know, like, I took Arabic for 2 years. Even though Arabic is not the same as Farsi, I do remember Shaheen put on his Twitter like how to pronounce his name. Shaheen is a acceptable pronunciation. So is Shaheen, like without the second like H pronunciation, silent as well. But I do think your pick is doing great. My pick, I think, is doing exceptional. This person was a not nominee for this round, but a honorable mention for my Torchy award. That person is Camilla. Camilla was my winner pick. Didn't get the chance to pick Camilla in the draft, in our small group draft of our Survivor Fantasy group chat, but Camilla knows where the idol is, sitting good with her tribe, has an extra vote. So I have no complaints about Camilla as my preseason pick. Camilla I do still believe will be the chameleonaire of the season. It's just a matter of time. And I feel like she's a good contender still at this moment.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal pick. Can't go wrong with her at all.
Yeah. Can't go wrong unless something does go wrong. But we're not going to think about that because I'm going to do great and Camilla's going to do great too. Well, Rob, anything else from this third episode of Survivor 48 that you think we should discuss?
I can't think of anything else. Anything on your mind, Tim?
Man, let's just hope our faves can survive this swap. It's been yet another incredible episode, Rob, of this Purple Pants podcast powered production. Try to say that fast. Of Split the Vote. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Well, it's been Tim.
It's been Rob.
It's been Split the Vote. Actually, make sure y'all check us out on Instagram. Head over to the YouTube of the Bryce Isaiah YouTube page as well. Check out all the other Purple Pants podcasts and shows that are out right now. And hit us up because we'll be here next week to talk about next week's episode too. Peace.
It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You better listen in public, might make your stomach hurt. Ooh. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to unwind, you better get that box wine. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to get your snack, you better hurry right back though. It's the Purple Pants. It's the Purple Pants.